Okay, it's 3. So good afternoon, everyone. We would like to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Audra DeSorbo, and I am the Chapter Engagement Program Manager here with NTHS, and I also have a couple of members of my team with us today. So I'd also like to introduce Amy Gallagher. She is our Senior Director of Partnerships, and Renee Frady, who is our Chapter Services Coordinator. And can everyone hear me? Nod to the folks that have a face. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to share a few quick details about today's session and kind of how the webinar will run. So we are projecting that it will last approximately 30 minutes. And I will be the facilitator and the main responder. So Amy will be helping me by keeping time and keeping things moving forward. And Renee will be helping me by manning the chat. So to keep things running smoothly and efficiently and to try to stay within our time frame, the plan will be for everyone to drop questions in the chat. So I do have a few questions that I'm going to go over before we get to that. But if you want to think of any questions down and be dropping those in the chat, that is absolutely fine. So then I will read them aloud and respond. If you need more of an explanation or any clarification to my answer, please use the raise your hand feature and I'll call on you and you can unmute and speak. So don't be scared to ask anything because I promise you your question will most likely help someone else too. So before we get started with the live questions, I am going to go over some frequently asked questions that we get asked a lot. So the first one is it too late in the year to register members? Absolutely not. There is no national deadline to register members. So we do encourage advisors to register members as early in the school year as possible so that members can take advantage of all the scholarship opportunities that we have before those deadlines pass. But chapters can register students at any point before the student graduates as long as they meet eligibility requirements. I do want to mention here that if you haven't registered yet for this school year, if you get your students registered before, I'm going to say mid-April or April the 20th, then they still would have time to apply for our John H. Petit Scholarship. That has a due date of May the 1st. That's our big one. We give 275 $1,000 scholarships away with that effort. So if you haven't registered members and you get them in by, like I said, mid-April, then they'll still have the opportunity to apply for that scholarship. Okay, next question. What is the difference between registration and induction? So to us at the national office, those are two different terms, though a lot of advisors kind of use them interchangeably. So I want to kind of explain the difference. So registration is the official step where you submit students in the advisor portal and you complete their membership applications and continue through the checkout process. So at that point, they are recognized as NTHS members and they have access to their benefits. This actually made me think of something to mention that came up earlier in the week. So scholarships have to be applied for. They are not automatic for every member. So please understand, scholarships do have to be applied for. So students would need to do that after registration. Okay, induction. Induction is a ceremony or the event where you recognize and celebrate your students. So this can be held at any point in the school year, but since students are not official members with us until they are registered, induction ceremonies don't need to be held until after registration is complete in our system because we don't recognize them as official members if you have the induction first. They have to be registered first. So if anyone needs clarification on that, just let me know. Okay, another question. Do chapters have to do activities beyond registration? So chapters are strongly encouraged to engage students in our core four objectives, which are career development, leadership, service, and recognition. That helps to enhance their overall experience and it helps your chapter to qualify for opportunities like the chapter awards program. However, activities are not required for membership. So I hope that maybe clears something up for any of you that might have had that question. Okay, so I'm going to actually exit and for this next question, which is how do I see my current members? So Can you see the advisor portal screen now? Okay. So I'm a visual learner, so I like to walk through things. So to see your current members, if you are logged into the portal, you will click here, Student Member Roster. And I'm actually in our sample chapter. We have a sample chapter. So when I click there, I can actually see all the names of every student that has ever been a registered member of our chapter. So in our sample chapter, we have 241 students that have been sample registered. Okay, but I only want to see the ones that are right now still in my school. So I'm going to click this button that says only display active members and then hit find. So that's going to give me a list of only the students that are still here that have not graduated yet. And I can actually export this list into a spreadsheet, and that will give me a chapter roster for that year. When you update and you add new members, then you can always go back to the screen, do only display active members, and get your current list. Okay. So that's always something good to know because we get that question a lot. Okay, next. Next, how do I get a replacement certificate? So that is something that we're probably asked daily, right, Renee? Is how do I get a replacement certificate or a name is misspelled? So I'm going to go whenever you need to get back to the portal on our webpage, click that button at the top in that purple bar that says portal, and it's going to take you back to the advisor portal page. So here over to the right, the very last button says reprints. You can order reprints there. This can be for the name is misspelled, missing certificate. Actually, it could even be for second or third year members. Say that you have members who have been in more than once, more than 1 year, and you want to recognize them at the ceremony, but you're not going to re-register them because we don't re-register members. Once registration happens, it's one and done. They're members for life. Okay. They can You can get them a new certificate that if you want to do an induction ceremony and present them something too, you can order one here. They are $3 per membership reprints. And if you order them with your membership kits, they'll be delivered at the same time. Also want to mention here because we do have a lot of issues with name misspellings. So that's why it's really good practice whenever you are submitting your members, whenever you type them in, or if you do the bulk upload, check those spellings because certificates are printed exactly as they're put in the system. It actually downloads for our accounting office as a Excel spreadsheet, and that's exactly how they print the certificates. So however the certificates are printed are exactly what you have put in. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to my presentation and want to mention one thing about graduation regalia. We actually included this little screenshot in our last e-news. It's that time of year, graduations are coming up. So you need to be thinking about, okay, who purchases the regalia? What regalia is approved? Which colors are allowed? What is the order deadline? When will it be distributed? Okay, so all of that is determined at the chapter level. So you as the advisor gets to decide that. I would say, if your school kind of has a standard of we normally get purple and silver cords, okay, stick with what you normally get. But that if you're new, then you kind of get to decide. And I would say definitely kind of evaluate what color your graduation robes are, and that might help you to pick what you get. We have cords, we have stoles, and we have graduation sets, which are the cords and stoles together. So you need to determine what is ordered, which items and colors are approved, the deadlines, and how distribution will take place. So in many cases, the advisors kind of coordinate this and they order in bulk for the regalia. That helps to ensure that everything kind of meets school guidelines and keeps costs lower for students. If students order the regalia on their own, which they can do through their membership portal, but it's going to cost them $9 shipping for an individual order in addition to tax versus a bulk order, shipping is not going to go over $30 total. So you can money can be saved that way. But so ordering together as a chapter is usually the most cost-effective option. But you just need to tell your members what that process is and make sure that they know whether you as the advisor are going to place the orders or if they need to place them on their own. And if so, what specifically to buy, because you don't want someone coming in with something opposite of what your school allows to wear. Okay. And before I start with questions, and like I said, you can go ahead and be dropping any questions in the chat. How can we help you? So recently, just probably since January, I have started creating some how-to videos. I've done a how to register members video, a new welcome video, but I'm open to ideas for whatever how-to videos would be helpful to you as advisors. So whatever you think of, if you drop it in the chat, that'll help us to kind of proceed from here with how we can help you. What are some new resources that would be helpful to you as well? If you think of in the advisor portal, actually, when we do the question and answer time, I'm gonna pull that up as well so that I can show you some of the advisor resources. But would sample meeting agendas be helpful? Would lesson plans be helpful? Would activity checklists be helpful? Whatever would be helpful to you, we would like to try to provide to you. So we need input on what that would be. Okay. So now we're going to move over, like I said, to the live Q&A time. I know that I have answered some questions, but I hope that you have some additional questions that you would like to ask. And since we never know how many exactly, because we had 93 registrants sign up for the webinar, so we'll never know who's actually going to be able to show up. But we do record these and send them out to everyone who registers. So since we have kind of a manageable number of people on the call, if you would rather unmute yourself and ask a question, that is absolutely fine. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to actually go over to the portal and like I said, I'm a visual learner, so I like to have things to show. So, does anyone have questions about registering members or about how to find something? Okay, great. Thank you, Charlene. Let's see what your question is. What is an NTH membership portfolio? Okay, so I'll start with that one. So the membership portfolio is It includes, we call it a kit. The portfolio includes a black portfolio that holds the certificate, and it also holds the other items that come with it. But the portfolio includes the personalized certificate, the black case, a tassel, an NTHS lapel pin, a diploma seal, the window decal, and then a brochure with membership benefits. Have I left anything out, Renee? Okay. So, do diploma stickers come with membership fee? Yes, they do. So, every membership kit, when you register your members, that $30, for that $30, each one of them is going to be sent to the advisor in bulk. So, you're going to get, all the black portfolios and everything is going to be in there. The diploma stickers, they are typically in a little regular sized envelope with a sticker on the outside that says diploma seals. And all of them are in there because actually, I was a chapter advisor for about 15 years before I came to work for the headquarters. So what I did was I didn't hand those out because I registered juniors and seniors. I didn't hand those out when I did my inductions. I held those until graduation and I put them in their graduation packet so that if they wanted to put that on their diploma, that they would have it then and that they wouldn't lose it. So it is there. And then are there documents in Spanish on site? Actually, this is a great question that we actually just got a couple of weeks ago. So on the on the site here, and my button is covered up by this little, let me see if I drag this. It says drag to move. It's not let me move it. Okay, under that is a little blue, looks like a little blue man, and you can actually change If you need any assistance with different things like visually impaired or cognitive disability, you can actually do that on the website. And that made me realize I was doing it wrong. So if
Gotta
you
wait for
right
that to
click,
hear.
what was
Yeah.
that?
I
Right.
text them, but you can call them back because I'm on a meeting.
If you click
See how long. And
on the
then we
right
can
hand,
work on something while we waiting.
Melissa, if you could mute just a second, I think we can hear you. Sorry,
I'm so sorry.
that's okay.
Already, I'm sorry.
Um,
In the school.
if you right click, you can open this tab and you can translate to any language here. I've actually done this. This will translate the website to Spanish. You do have to do it on each page, I have found out, but it will translate it here. And recently, because that Spanish question actually has come up, we have made a document that I can send you if you are in need of that you can give to parents, that is written in Spanish. So, and let me change. So that was a great question. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? Let me see if I can get me back to English. When I worked in the schools, I would say every day, because I had so many Hispanic students, I wish every day that I could speak more Spanish than I can. I can speak un poquito. So, but that was a great question, Charlene. Thank you so much. Do any of the others have questions? While you're thinking, I'm going to walk through a couple of things on the site, things that as an advisor, some of the things I missed, I didn't even realize that we had. So right here, this tab that says advisor resources, I definitely suggest that you look at that. We have the advisor guidebook. The advisor guidebook, it will open here. It goes through step by step of just things with establishing, nominating, inducting, and engaging your members. We also have an NTHS CTSO collaboration guide. So if you are running your NTHS chapter with another CTSO, DECA, FFA, FCCLA, FBLA, I can't name them all. But if you are, then this is kind of like a guide because you can run the chapters side by side or together. So that is sometimes helpful to advisors that are, having to juggle a multitude of tasks because, like I said, I was actually in the school system for many, many years. So I understand the juggling and the having to do this and that and a little bit of everything. So, okay. So another thing I want to point out, we do have sample bylaws here. If you're new and you don't have your bylaws established yet, I would take this template and maybe just add anything that you would need to add. It is completely acceptable for you to add additional local requirements. So national requirements are a 3.0 unweighted GPA. That can be either overall or that can be just in their career classes. So whichever way you decide to do it, as long as you are do it the same way for all of your members and establishing eligibility, then you're okay with either of those options. So you can actually take the chapter bylaws and you could add any local requirements. Now, for local requirements, we've heard a lot of different things that different chapters do. Again, that's your option to have local requirements. However, we do suggest that you not make those local requirements so restrictive that you're going to keep somebody out that really is deserving of being in. Um, if it's we've even heard things like they didn't wear the right thing at the induction ceremony. It could be something as simple as that. I would personally, kind of look at that as that might be limiting something that they might be in the situation where they don't have, the resources to get those. So like I said, whatever you make your local requirements, just be mindful to not make them so restrictive. It would be our suggestion. So another thing, we do have financial documents here. A lot of, actually, I think we're up to about 10 states now that we're needing, that we have to require tax information from. So our W-9 is here if your school needs that. And then a sole source letter. That means that NTHS materials or stoles, cords, anything that we are the only source that you can get it from. You can't order it from Amazon, you can't order it from Walmart. We are a sole source of those items. So if you need that for your financial department, that is also there. There's also some different flyers. There's the area of study codes. That's actually another question that we get asked a lot that I was going to say if nobody's going to drop a question, and I'm thinking of questions as you know, they're popping in my head. And I'm going to pull up. So if you're doing a bulk upload, this is actually the one, if you can see that. Um, I was kind of working on editing one. So when you do a download of the bulk upload spreadsheet from our website, we just say this one is for when advisors invite the students to register themselves. But we have two options. We have this option, or we have the one where the advisor completes all the information. But please don't change any of the headers. Don't delete any of the headers. And there's a sample row. Actually, let me do this. There's a sample row 2, and it tells you exactly how to format each cell. Please be careful with that because if it's not formatted exactly right, you're going to have an error when uploading. Okay, so Alex, you said, miss some of this meeting. Will you send to us to review again and for reference? Absolutely. I'm going to send the recording to everyone. And I actually have my questions typed up with the answers that I can also send. So will that work? Okay, great. So is it recommended that a school has more than one advisor? Is there cost for an extra advisor? Great question. It actually is recommended that you have more than one advisor because that kind of helps you split the responsibilities, I would say, and there is no cost to having an extra advisor. You can actually I have one chapter, one of our post-secondary chapters, I think they have 8 advisors, and she really splits up the responsibility. Whenever someone asks a question, it makes me think of new questions, so I just kind of want to throw that out. I know when you're taking on NTHS because I remember when I started it at my school sometimes you think, oh, I can't add one more thing to my plate. But I want you to know that we do not have any requirements for advisors to do other than register members. That's the only requirement that keeps you active on a yearly basis. It's each school year to register members. But you can do as the advisor as much or as little as you can put in. Now, absolutely, the more you do, we love it. But if you're only able to do one activity a year, or you're only able to do the induction, that's okay. We have no requirements on that. The more that you do, it helps if you are interested in applying for our chapter awards program. But all of that stuff is not required. You do as much as you can. And I would strongly suggest if you have an officer team, I did have an officer team at my school, and they were the ones, they took it and ran. And if you have a good officer team, like they pretty much, I just said, okay, we had them one meeting a month. And I said the meetings are going to be on the third Thursday of the month, so everybody knew when it was. And but they were the ones that came up with the ideas of what to do and what they wanted to do. And the more that the members and the advisors have say so, that's the more buy-in that they have and that they want to do. So I hope that's helpful. Are there any other questions there? Oh, one other thing that I really wanted to point out on here is the induction ceremony script template. So we have a whole ceremony script, and I use this every year. And I would say on average, I probably inducted about 50 members per year. And I use this script. I just tweaked it a little bit, like if I needed to say where my school was, but I used it word for word, presented. this was even including my members coming up on stage, shaking hands, getting their certificates. We were done in probably 30 to 35 minutes with that induction ceremony. The parents loved it, the kids loved it, they got the recognition, they, they got to feel special, which, that is a part of NTHS. So I definitely recommend using the ceremony script. Let's see.
Audrey, you're down to about 5 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, thank you so much, Amy. See, she's doing a good job keeping me on task.
And you
Um,
did get
are
another
there,
question. You've got another question. Can an advisor collect the membership fee for the students and add extra fee for the regalia so they are only collecting money once?
yes, very good question. Very good question. Absolutely. So you can, even if you decide that you are going to not order the regalia until later on, let's say that you register in the fall and you go ahead and pay for your registrations, but you're not going to do your um, order your regalia until the spring. As long as, like at my school, we had like an NTHS account and they just kind of held our money in that account until we used it. So absolutely you can do that. Does anybody need any clarification on that, or did I do okay answering it? Very good question. Thank you. And is there anything? Oh, if anyone has one other thing that I thought of, if anyone is struggling for their students to complete their registration forms, so when the advisor invites the students to register, then they automatically get an email asking them to complete their registration. I definitely would not like cold call, cold call them by getting those emails. Let them know, hey, you qualified. You're going to be getting an email from NTHS. Let them know that so that they don't think it's spam, because we have had some members call in saying, I keep getting these emails and I don't know if this is for real. And I say, yes, it is. I looked them up first, but yes, it is for real. And these are what our member benefits include. But it's great for you to kind of let them know beforehand. We have some letters. We also have letters in here, templates that you can use as well. So, like I said, check out all of the resources, but you can send, oh, that's another thing. See, I think of things. So I'm going to go back to my portal
That's a,
page.
that's a good point, Audra. When they do notify the students, just let them know your ceremony time and date, your regalia color, where the payment should be made. If you're going to send a notice to those students, that way they know ahead of time and they will receive a welcome email once you submit within the advisor portal.
Thank you, Renee. That was exactly right. I wanted to go back to when you're adding students. Let's say that some of them are sitting here, so you can see on this screen that it's got incomplete and complete. That means that this student that is complete, that she's received her registration email and she's completed filling it out. The other two have not. So when I go back to look, can we as advisors pay the registration? Yes, actually. So the registration, the money all goes through the school. So some schools charge their students, and that was what we did. Like my students had to pay. We were from a very rural county, so like we didn't have funds to pay for them. They paid the money to me. They could either pay me and I would write them a receipt book from the school, a receipt from the school, or our school had an online option that they could pay online. And either way, it would go into our account. And then once registrations are submitted, the advisor will get an email with an invoice, and then they can take that invoice to their bookkeeper, and then the school will submit payment. Also, that made me think payment can either be paid through a PO, purchase order that you would get from your school, or a credit card. So you would need to talk with your school's bookkeeper to say which way are we going to do. So we can give a sales quote, which is an estimate of the charge. If you need that before submitting the PO, you just ask us. And we've got about a minute left.
I'm going to
But
add one more thing to that, Audra. I'm sorry. On the
okay,
checkout screen, if you have everything in your shop and you're on the checkout screen, at the very bottom of the checkout screen, there is a sales quote, which should include all of the itemized product and memberships, along with shipping and processing fee.
perfect. That's exactly right. Renee, while we're getting ready to end up, would you throw that survey link in the chat for me, please? So if you have any other questions, let me get back to my final slide, which has the QR code on this final slide is to our chapter highlights form. So if you're doing anything great or that you would like for us to try to recognize in some way, scan that code and you can fill out our chapter highlights form. We love to hear what the chapters are doing. If you have any questions at any time, that is my email address and you're welcome to email me. And Renee is putting in the chat, like I said, that survey link. And that's just, it will take you less than 1 minute to complete that. It's just a how did we do on this webinar so that we can kind of, make edits or adjustments for future webinars. So Renee, did you get that or do I need to? Can you see that yet? Amy, can you see it? Because I can get it.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay. Hang tight with us. Are there any last minute questions? Feel free to unmute if you need to. But we really appreciate you being here.
Audra, I'm sorry, I can't find that link.
It's
So,
okay. I'm getting it right here. Okay, I'm going to drop it in the chat. And like I said, it'll take really less than a minute for you to complete that form. And we really appreciate the feedback. We do hold these webinars periodically. We try to do every 4 to 6 weeks. So we hope that you'll join us again. If you have ideas for webinars on that format, you can let us know what they are. And we appreciate, first of all of you for being amazing advisors and for being on the call with us and just giving us your time. And if we are always, I say this all the time, we are always just a phone call, chat, or email away. We love to answer questions. So we love to help our advisors. And like I said, I was an advisor myself. So if you just think, hey, I need somebody to run an idea by or, you know, talk about processes, call, chat, let us know. We are here to help. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being on the call today. And I just hope you have a great, if you haven't had spring break yet, have a great spring break. If you already did, hope it was good.
Thank you, Audra.
Thank
thanks.
you. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.